Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to another video by STEM with Kieno.com. My name is Kieno Thomas, and this video is for all my subscribers that have actually passed your military aptitude test, naval flight officers, student naval aviators, student naval flight officers, and United States Air Force candidates that are going to initial flight screening. What I recommend is that you actually go to an airport. Find like a little small airport. If you actually send, or in the comment section, if you send me your zip code, I can respond with 3 airports that you can go to that are very, I guess, private pilot friendly, I guess you could say that. They will have, they're what you call a fixed base operator. And basically, you can go there, you can meet up with an instructor, and I don't know, I might start generate a list and put it out on the website at stemwithkieno.com, something down the road. Congratulations for passing your test, and hopefully everything goes well medically with you at MEPS, and you're good to go. But the next phase is just kind of, let me get another view here. Outside lock spot. Okay. So this is a single engine aircraft. It is fixed gear, which means the landing gear don't retract. This is a model of the Cessna 172. It's a single engine, meaning there's only one engine. Let's see, let's scroll around here. It's a tricycle type gear. All right, so you got the nose wheel up front and the 2 main gear. Older models have the tail dragger where the nose is positioned slightly up, and the tail, you have a little tail wheel on the back. That's called conventional landing gear. Or you could have tricycle type landing gear. So basically the flight control surfaces, they all wiggle. You can see me kind of wiggling the flight control surfaces there. And here's our back view. Our ailerons are moving. These are called ailerons. This is the elevator. All right, and this is the rudder pedal, the rudder. Okay, and it works very much like a rudder on a boat. The elevator pitches our nose, positions our nose up and down, and you can actually see the little trim tab here. The trim tab is used to ease the control pressures on the control yoke for the pilot. The ailerons, they help us bank, but we bank with the assistance of rudder at the same time. That is called a coordinated turn. So let's go ahead and jump inside in the virtual cockpit mode, and let's look around. Now, this is going to be a video series that I'm going to do, and this is a very, very simple panel. Panels can get very, very elaborate if you would. But basically on this video, what I'd like you to focus on are the basic 6 flight instruments. Okay, we have the airspeed indicator here that tells us how fast we're traveling through the air. We have the attitude indicator. We have the altimeter. We have a turn coordinator, a heading indicator, and we have a vertical speed indicator. Now, as I mentioned before, the airspeed indicator is going to basically tell us, how fast we're traveling through the air. The attitude indicator has a miniature aircraft. This represents your aircraft wings, and this is gyroscopic. These 2 instruments are gyroscopically operated, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So this is currently giving us erroneous information, and we probably have a flag saying off. We are currently 213 feet above sea level. The turn coordinator. Okay, see our airplane out there. That's pretty neat. We got a little traffic going on, artificial intelligence traffic. All right, back to let's get back on course here. Our heading indicator tells us our magnetic direction. All right, our direction in relation to the magnetic North Pole. Magnetic North and geographic North Pole are 2 different positions, and we'll talk about that in another video. We have our vertical speed indicator, which tells us how fast we are climbing or descending in hundreds of feet per minute. Let's see what other information I can give you about the basic SIGs. Okay, airspeed is in knots, not miles per hour. Altitude is in feet. This is electrically operated, and this has an off flag that's telling you, hey, I'm not usable. So sometimes the instruments will tell you, hey, I'm happy, I'm working, or I'm not, I'm off duty. Right there, I guess you could say. We have a tachometer, and this tells you how fast the propeller is spinning in revolutions per minute. And now here would be the 1000 RPM mark, and you see it calibrated in hundreds. All right, so you just add 2 zeros, and this will be 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and 2,500. And that gives us tells us how fast. Some other things, fuel. System's not on, so it's indicating 0 gallons. There's no fuel flow. There's no temperature on the exhaust gas temperature. Exhaust gauge temperature. Exhaust gas temperature. All right. We have temperature and oil pressure, vacuum pressure. That gives us an indication or tells us that our gyroscopic instruments are working. Now, there's a gyroscope in here too, but this is electrically operated. Basically, we're not really going to talk the tower or anything. Wow, I see the little car traveling out there on the road. Okay, hopefully this plane is not coming towards us. Looks like it's making its way to runway 16, but we'll see in a minute. That'd be like totally, well, not cool, but for simulator world, it would not be. If the plane got on runway 16 and like took off and flew over us, that would be kind of neat. But it's probably not. It looks like it's parking. Okay, so situational awareness, always being aware of what's going on around you and your aircraft. We have some radio panels. We'll go into detail about that. We have circuit breakers there, but basically this is a very basic panel, not a whole lot. And as I told you, panels can get very, very elaborate. All right, so we're currently at Trenton Mercer Airport, and we're positioned us on runway 34. Basically, what's going to happen is we're going to actually go through an actual checklist for engine start, and that's what I love about Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can actually run through your checklist. So if you are training, you can actually get into the procedure, and when you actually get in a real plane, it's like you basically do the same thing. All right, so what I'm going to do is always try to stay with checklists and whatever. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a little sightseeing. We'll probably see Philadelphia. We could possibly see the New York City skyline from where we're positioned in Trenton. Or actually, this is Ewing Township, New Jersey, just slightly outside of Trenton, but it's all called the Greater Trenton area. And we're pretty much right on the other side of Pennsylvania. The Delaware River is right near the airport. We'll see that as we take off. And basically, we're going to run through the checklist. Now, this is actually, I just downloaded this aircraft. So the real plane, I probably have a couple thousand hours in the actual Cessna 172 in real life. And so we're going to see how realistic this thing is. Now, typically, I'm pretty much going to keep my altitude hold on autopilot because it takes a lot. It's actually, if you could fly this, it's actually harder than a real airplane. If you could actually fly this, maintain your altitude and heading. But for our purposes and training purposes, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on autopilot as we take off. I'm going to physically fly it off the ground, and so I'll discuss all that when we go. I'm not going to do the run-up, the pre-takeoff checklist. I'm going to reserve that for my actual subs that are actually going through an API or undergraduate pilot training prep course with me. So this is going to be a very, very basic video, but I guess just because we can virtually sit in this aircraft together and fly it. And I'm working on that system right now for my port forwarding. If you guys have any information on all you computer geeks out there, and hey, I'm a geek of sorts myself, so I don't mean that in a bad way, but if there's any computer geeks out there that, if you know about port forwarding, I'd be very, very happy to talk to you, and you can email me at kienothomas@gmail.com. So basically, let's go through the checklist. So our pre-flight inspection is complete. Check. Our passenger briefing is complete. Our passenger briefing would basically just talk about exiting an event of a crash. Now, typically, what happens is this is the captain's seat. This is the co-pilot seat. Now, basically, if there are any rear passengers, the co-pilot would open the door and exit out here. This pilot would slide his seat full forward, and the person in the back, since this seat would actually be slid forward, they would exit out this door. So the pilot and co-pilot actually exit out this door. The rear passenger will actually, after this seat is slid forward, I should say, would exit out this door, and then everybody would meet back at the tail of the aircraft in the event of a forced landing or crash landing. All right, so that is our pre-flight, our passenger briefing. Okay, so our seat belts are adjusted and locked. Okay, a little bit too much. Our doors are closed and locked. Okay, in the Cessna 172, the door is not locked until this latch is all the way full forward. And luckily, we have some placarding here for realism. If we zoom in here, full down is locked. Let me see if I can, well, hold on. I could probably, okay, so I don't know if this does the, yes, it does. Okay, so the pilot door actually opens, and let's see if we can slide back. All right, so this is in the full open position. Okay, so the door's open at this point. And this is in the locked position, so that's a little weird, but okay. Open is forward here, and like I am checking for simulation realism, and open is aft here. Okay, so we'll just go with that. So basically what we want to do is make sure that the doors are closed and locked. So we'll go ahead and secure that door. Okay, so the exit is closed and we have secured the door. All right, brakes test and set. Basically, you would pull this bar out and then you will rotate it 90 degrees downward while pressing on the two rudder pedals. These are the rudder pedals simultaneously. These rudder pedals actually steer us on the ground, not the control yoke. So we steer with our feet in the Cessna 172. Our circuit breakers check in. We would rub our fingers across the circuit breakers and make sure that they are, and let's see if we can't get, stack light switches. Okay, so let me see if I can't move around a little bit. Yeah, the yoke is kind of in the way, but what we'll do is we will move it that way. So basically what you would do is rub your thumb, gently pressing in on each one of these circuit breakers. And if they popped out, when they pop out, you would see like a bright yellow or orange color, and that will let you know that there's something wrong with that circuit breaker. So you gently rub your fingers across here, and these actually show you the circuits that each one of these circuit breakers actually protect. Avionics fan, autopilot, GPS, nav1, communications radio 2, navcom, so navigation and communication radios. All right, transponder, all right, flaps, all right, instrument panel, avionics bus 1 and bus 2, our turn coordinator, and our instrument lights. Okay, so our circuit breakers are checked in. Electrical equipment. Now, depending on your aircraft, some people are, or some mechanics, they will tell you like a couple different things, meaning that when we check to make sure that our electrical equipment is off, we want to make sure that our light switches are all on an off position. All right, so let's go ahead and check that. So everything's in the off position as far as our electrical equipment and autopilot here. We're coming back to the virtual cockpit. We want this to be, this is the power. So this is in the off position. This is in the off position. This is up, not in the off position, but here's the thing. We have a avionics power switch if we come back here. And as long as our avionics master is off, no power should go to the electrical instruments. So you will make sure that that is in the off position. All right, we'll come back to our virtual cockpit and we will look downward. All right, and we have down here something called a fuel selector valve. Now the cool thing is we have a right and a left wing tank. Okay, so this is a placard that kind of lets you know you have 28.5 gallons here and 28.5 gallons in the other. All right, but typically what we do is we want to siphon or suck off both of the tanks at the same time because we don't want one tank to be heavier than the other tank. So we leave this in the both position. So you would say fuel selector valve both, fuel shutoff valve on or in, pushed in. All right, all right, all right. That's cut. Pull, fuel on, pull off. That's a little weird. Fuel on, pull for off. Fuel control switch open. Fuel control switch closed. Cut. All right, so I'll leave this in a normal position. All right, so I used to teach in a slightly different model. I used to teach pilots in this, actually at Trenton Mercer Airport. So very familiar with this airport. Probably a couple thousand hours at this airport. I've flown out here alone, training people and just doing other things. All right, so let's move along. All right, so our before engine start checklist is complete. So basically, as you would go along, this is how it would go in real life. Okay, you would flow along and you would check these items. So you would actually, when you go for your familiarization flight, you will hear your instructor say, pre-flight inspection complete, passenger briefing complete, seat belts, shoulder harnesses adjust and locked, doors closed and locked, brakes test and set, circuit breakers check, electrical equipment and autopilot off, avionics power switch off, fuel selector valve off. Or I'm sorry, fuel selector valve both and fuel shutoff valve on or in. All right. So then we would say engine start checklist. All right. So come along. Throttle, we want it 1/4 of an inch open. Now this is actually like your gas pedal. All the way in is pressing the gas down in your car, and pulling back would be like having your throttle out. Okay. So or your foot off the gas. So it'd be like idle. So this is adding fuel to the engine and revving it up. And this is taking the fuel away or reducing the fuel flow, and the propeller spins slower, and that would be backed up by our RPM, revolutions per minute indication. So we want our throttle about 1/4 of an inch open. Push that in just a little bit. All right. Mixture rich. All right. This is fully cut off, and we can control the amount of fuel that goes to the engine with this control. And this is called a mixture control. All right. Move right along. Carburetor heat. In. Prime. All right. All right. And I believe this is a... All right. We'll skip that part. We'll talk about this. I got to find actually an older model Cessna. Okay, auxiliary fuel pump on. I don't believe there's an auxiliary fuel pump on this. I will just go to our light switches again. Oh, actually, yeah. All right, auxiliary fuel pump is on. Propeller area clear. So basically what we would do is we would look outside the propeller area, okay, and we would actually open the window, all right, or this window if you're the pilot, and you would yell clear prop as pretty much as loud as you can. Don't strain yourself, but This is to let anybody walking around the propeller to stay clear of the propeller because it is about to start and we don't want anybody to get hurt. If there's ground personnel and all that and everything like that, like fuel guys and stuff like that, what I do is I pull the keys out and I put them on the dash as an indication so they can see that the key's not in ignition and we're not going to start the engine, so they feel safer operating around the aircraft. So our propeller area is clear. All right, let's come back to our switches. All right, here's our master switch. All right, so our master switch is on. Beacon on. This is a visual indication that our propeller is about to start. So anybody operating around this aircraft, and whenever you see a red rotating beacon, this is telling you, hey, these guys are about to start their engine or engines, depending on the aircraft that you're dealing with. All right, back to our virtual cockpit area. So we're back in the aircraft, and our beacon is on, and ignition start. Now, one thing I want to focus on in here is we have in our key position, we have a couple positions. We have actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions that your key could be in. It could be in the right magnetos position, left, or both. Now, magnetos are basically just spark plugs, and there's two sets. There's a left side and a right side for redundancy. If the right fails, you're in an airplane, so you want to have backup, so your left. Or if your left fails, you have your right magnetos or spark plugs firing, keeping the engine going. And then we have the both position where they both be firing at the same time. All right, and then we have the start position. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just zoom out. We're going to turn this key, and by hitting Control E. Okay, and what will happen initially is our RPMs will come up. Our propeller is spinning. You can see that there. And we have some indications going on. Okay, now, before the fuel indicated 0. Now it's pretty much up, meaning that our tanks are full. We have fuel flow, which is in the green. That's always good. Our vacuum pressure is here. If we add a little power, our vacuum needle comes up, and we'll go ahead and idle it. Put your oil pressure, as we add power, our oil pressure will increase. And in flight, we want it in the green area, so as our engines are revved up, we want that pressure up. And our temperature raises slightly, but we don't want anything hitting the red lines as far as our gauges. Red is bad. Red is really bad. Alright. Just like in your car, in your RPM gauge in your car, there's a red area that you don't want to over rev, because that will indicate that you're hurting your engine. So the annunciator panel is here, and this is the airplane communicating with you saying, hey, I'm happy, or no, I'm not. No news is good news, because as long as these lights are off, we're good. We don't have a vacuum failure. We don't have low fuel. Voltage won't be, or electrical volts mean that we would have some type of electrical issue. And oil pressure, we definitely want to make sure that we have enough oil in our system, because our oil is major for keeping our engine as cool as possible. Alright, so let's see here. We're going to adjust our throttle. I'm going to leave it here, but typically what you would do is adjust your throttle to 1000. I'm going to leave it at idle here. Let's see if we bump it up a little bit. Okay. Now, in the wintertime, you would definitely want it at 1000 so that the engine gets running and warming up and stuff like that. Anything else I failed to mention? Okay. So our oil pressure is pretty much normal. It's within the red boundaries. If it was here, it'd be too low. If it was there, it'd be too high. So as long as we're in here, we're good. When we're operating, like in flight, we want it in the green arc. And it will be there. We'll check that after we depart here. Let's see. Fuel pump, we'll go ahead and we'll turn that off. Okay, fuel pump is off. Our nav light's going to come on. We're not going to turn our strobes. We'll turn our strobes on now. And our landing light we will turn on. And radios are on. We'll turn that on. Actually, I think this actually, okay. So now our radios are on. And if we look up, if we come back to our virtual cockpit, let's zoom out a little bit. Alright, we will see that we have some numbers all over this place. Alright, I'll go ahead and set this because I did say that. And runway heading is 34. Currently pointed northeast, so we're in between northwest. Sorry, so we're in between north and west. This is our miniature aircraft, and it's telling us that is our heading. ATIS at Trenton Mercer Airport is 133.7. So what we could do is, this is a ATIS, or Automatic Terminal Information Service, and basically this gives us an idea of what's going on at the airport, and it's continuously broadcasted. So basically we set the ATIS frequency here, and then we have a swap switch. So this is actually a standby frequency. To make it active, all we have to do is press this button. Okay, we have information Victor. Okay, and basically what that gave us was winds, visibility, sky conditions, temperature, dew point, and our altimeter setting. And this is our altimeter, and we will want this altimeter set at the correct barometric pressure. So it gives us our correct altitude, and it is displaying our correct altitude. Alright, showing 217 feet. Alright, and that's pretty much it. So basically the focus of this video is the basic flight instruments. Airspeed indicator, we can see that our attitude indicator is erect and stable. The artificial horizon is erect and stable. So this represents our airplane, and it's level because we're level. Our wings are level. If we look left or right and we look left, our wings are level. One's not tilted downward. So that is a level flight condition. Our altimeter again, 213 feet. Our turn coordinator is level. The ball is center, and you will make sure that the tube here is full of fluid. The inclinometer. The directional gyro is pretty much reading the correct heading. Runway 34. So our heading is 340 currently. Our compass checks that as well. And our vertical speed indicator is, I'm sorry, I just looked, okay. And our vertical speed indicator is indicating a level flight indication, 0 feet per minute, so we're not climbing or descending. Alright, so, alright, so our transponder is set to 1200. That is the VFR code. We could change the transponder setting if we needed to. Our flaps are up. Let's go outside. If we want to extend our flaps full, these are our flaps, and these assist us for landing and departing on short runways, and if there's obstacles at the approach end or departure end of the runway, they help us climb out at a steeper approach. Generate lots and lots and lots of lift, and just our flaps. Ammeter check, it's just, we're not going to deal with that right now. Our heading indicator is set, altimeter set, autopilot, it's good to go, and autopilot is off. So we're going to get the flaps back up because we don't need them right now. We have a whole lot of runway, and there's not very many obstacles, so everything's going. We have our rotating beacon and our white light on the tail. We have our green light, that is our navigation light. Our landing light is on, and we have our left wing has our left wing tip has a red light, and these little things here are strobes. Alright, and that is just to make sure other pilots see us in flight, especially at night. So we'll come back into the aircraft, and basically we'll come back, and like I said, this is your gas pedal right here. Alright, so basically what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom out so you can actually see it coming in and see here. Alright, so we want to make sure our flight controls are free and correct. Okay, so there's nothing inhibiting the movement of the flight controls, and we can actually put in the full control inputs. Alright, so this is very, very important because we don't want anything inhibiting movement if we need to maneuver the aircraft in a certain way. So as I throttle up, we're going to release the parking brake, which is right here. We just press the brakes down and we turn this 90 degrees up, and it will collapse forward like that. And then what we would do is actually push this throttle in. So you can see my hand on it. I'm actually grabbing at this point, and I'm going to gently just accelerate and push it in. Okay, so we're rolling forward. Throttle's full in. Airspeed is alive. 50 knots and rotation. So we're gently just pulling back on the yoke just to get the nose wheel off. And then the wings are going to aerodynamically take over and lift the aircraft into the air. We have a positive rate, and there is no landing gear switch because the gear is fixed. We're going to engage the autopilot, boom, and we'll let that go, and the autopilot is taking over so we can kind of look around a little bit. So we're currently in a climb out right now off of runway 34 at Trenton Mercer Airport. And we're currently over Ewing Township, New Jersey. And off to the left as we climb out, we should see the Delaware River. So basically what we'll do is we will just gently do a little turn towards the river. And the practice area is actually to the northwest. So you could follow, you could turn north, and you could actually go to the practice area where we take students for their basic flight maneuvers and stuff. Steep turns, stalls, slow flight, turns about a point, you know, ground reference for maneuvers and things of that nature. And we're currently at 1,000 feet. And we're actually, I'm going to take it up to about 2,000. Maybe 3 even. Okay, so we're going to take it up to 3,000. And there is the Delaware River out there. I think this is Washington. No, this is actually probably the 295 bridge. You could take that. That'll take you right into Philadelphia. But I guess this is a wintertime scenery. It's very white. And it's looking good. So we're in our climb out, and we're climbing to 3,000 feet. We're currently at 1,500, slightly above, passing through 1,600, and we're still northwest currently. So at this point, we are above the traffic pattern altitude. So any aircraft coming in will be coming down to about at least 1,500 or 1,200 feet. So we could like level out if we wanted to. Our vertical speed indicator is indicating a climb. It's not at the 0, so that will be a climb. If the needle is pointed down, that would be a descent. Our airspeed indicator is up and alive at about 90 knots in the climb out. Our turn coordinator is level, and we are flying straight ahead because our directional gyro is not turning. If we execute a turn, then this thing will start moving, and our aircraft heading, by this lever line, will actually be moving along. Alright, so first we're going to turn west upon reaching 3,000 feet. And just looking around at this point. Alright, see how we look outside. We'll do a flyby view. Come back to virtual cockpit mode. 500 feet to go for 3,000. And like I said, we're going to execute our turn. There's still a Delaware out there. And I'm going to start executing our turn now. So we'll continue our climb, and we're going to turn to the west. Okay, here's our turn, and what you'll notice is the miniature airplane is showing a bank. The left wing goes down, and the directional gyro rotates to the right, which means we're executing a left turn. Okay, so we're about level at 3,000, and I have not picked up the Philadelphia skyline yet. But that is the airport that we just left. Alright. So the Cessna 172 offers a lot of visibility. Pretty much down low visibility. Alright. One thing that will obstruct your view are the wings, so you can't really see what's going on through those wings. You can't see through them. I'm playing with this, like the panel looks a little dark. Alright, so we can see the water of the Delaware River right about now. That looks pretty good. And basically what we'll do is we will fly towards Philadelphia. So I'm going to turn to a heading of about 240 or so. We're level at 3,000, and what we will do is we will gently pull back. And remember, this is our gas pedal, so we're going to ease off the gas pedal by pulling that out. And we can audibly hear the propeller winding down, or the engine winding down. Okay. So we're currently over Pennsylvania. This is New Jersey, and this is Pennsylvania. Alright, so we're currently over Pennsylvania, and I'm just trying to see if we can pick up the Philadelphia skyline. Alright. And she pretty much settled at 3,000. Alright. Now, a couple things, what I failed to mention. We don't just turn the aircraft, because we know that we have our wing kind of blocking our view as far as what we can see overhead. So what we do before we make a turn, we say clear left, turning left. So we gently raise the wing. Okay, hold on. Okay, so what we do is we gently raise the wing like that, and we can get a little bit more view. Clear left, and then we turn left. Alright. Now what's going to happen is we're going to lose the vertical component of lift a little bit, so I'm going to add just a little bit of power. And we're in a left turn right now. Basically, we have a turn going on, and we need to add a little bit of back pressure, meaning that we just pull back on the yoke just a little bit. Otherwise, the nose would drop. We want to stay about 3,000 feet. That's going to be our target altitude, plus or minus. Now, only thing, this does a very, very pronounced nose drop, which you probably wouldn't find in most aircraft, but like I said, if you could fly this thing, the real plane will be much, much easier, because you'll be actually at the controls and feeling through things and stuff. So 3,000 feet, and I think what I'm going to do is we'll go ahead and re-engage. Boom. I just want to look at some stuff here. So we'll bring up our GPS. Alright, and on our GPS, this is our airplane. This is the airport we departed. It's actually right in front of us. So here's the airplane. There's an airport out there. That is that flat area there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to come back for a landing, and let's see here. I want 060 on the 90. So go ahead and we'll turn there, and what I will do is we will fly the instrument landing system in 111.3 nav 1. Put that active, and needles come alive, and we'll listen to the Morse code of the instrument landing system. We'll step on down to about 2,000. Okay, Morse code checks, looks good there, and we can even 3, 6, 9. Now our automatic direction finders become active. Now so we're in a descent because I'm looking sideways and the horizon is kind of pitched upward a little bit. It shows me I'm in a descent. We're coming back down out of 3,000 for 2. Almost about to pass through 2,500, and what I will do is pull back under power a little bit for the descent. One thing we want to notice as we're operating our power, we don't want to be outside this green arc. Let me just tie in. So we add power, we don't want to be too high, we don't want to red line, and we pull the power back, or our gas pedal or throttle control. So we wanted to keep it there, alright, in that green arc. Okay, looking for our airport. Awesome visibility downward in the Cessna 172. You could actually look back in your seat and actually see your tail. It's easier to turn this way actually to look at the tail. About to level out at 2,000. There's our airport, and let's start turning towards it. Zoom in. And we'll come to 090, which is about a 30-degree cut into the final approach course. We'll step on down some more. And we'll bring it all the way around to 060 because the needles are about to center up. So we'll keep our turn coming around. And there's our runway. Now I'm going to hit APR for approach, and we're going to line up with the final approach course. Pull back some power. We don't need to be super fast. We want to land as slow as possible without stalling. We don't want to stall. But I'm going to fly it back into runway 6 into Trenton Mercer Airport, and we are above glide slope right now. Noted by our instrument landing system. Okay, and I just turned down the radio chatter. That's all I did. So yeah, she's not playing with us. We'll go ahead and make our own adjustments. Okay, flight instruments checked and set, radios checked, ATIS checked, carburetor heat on, mixture rich, it's already there, landing light on, and we're going to bring our power back. Now, in this white arc, we have a flap operating range. Alright, We don't want to extend our flaps until we get the needle or the speed down into that white arc. So carburetor heat's on and I'm idling. And we're in the white arc now. Flaps. Speed checks for flaps. And we're going to go full idle. We actually have a lot more altitude than we need. Right. Now the flaps are going to cause some drag, so what we're going to need to do is just add a little bit of power to stabilize. And I'm trying to get some trim in there. Okay, and we're looking good there. And what I'm doing is I'm just feeling the trim. Okay, so we don't want to go too far. So we get over the runway, pull the power back, round out and flare, and let the plane aerodynamically settle to the ground. Okay, so that's the tower over there to the left. We've just landed on runway 6 at Trenton Mercer Airport, and so we're back. So basic 6 flight instruments: airspeed indicator, attitude indicator, the altimeter, turn coordinator, directional gyro or heading indicator, and the vertical speed indicator. Alright, so like I said in the comments, if you type in the zip code where you live, you can I'll respond and tell you where the nearest FBOs are. Let's get off the runway. Could be landing traffic coming behind us. And again, guys, I'm going to have a setup soon, I hope, where we can virtually sit in this aircraft together and go through the checklists and all that and everything like that. And you can just get more out of your familiarization flights when you kind of have this simulator, which is Microsoft's Team. And you can just get more out of it when you have this, and you can go through the checklist procedures and stuff like that. And you can get acquainted with things a little bit more quick. Alright, flaps are still down. And our taxiway exit is coming up here. Alright, got Charlie and Foxtrot. Here's our leader lines. And there's a whole short lines, and we come to a full stop. Idle. And clean up our airplane. What I mean by clean up the airplane, the flaps are still extended. We'll go ahead and we will raise our flaps. Turn our landing light off. Transponder goes to standby. Carb heat in, and we would taxi back to the ramp at this point. So again, this is Kieno with STEMwithKieno.com. I thank you guys for watching, and just be on the lookout, all you guys out there that have completed your military aptitude tests, and we'll talk to you soon. See you tonight at the live stream. Bye bye. This is Kieno, December 8th, 2017. Talk to you later.